However, I wondered what happens when you pay the full price of a certain piece of land or property. At the end of paying for that property, the seller dies, or the seller just disappears, goes up country or goes abroad. In today's video, I'm here to talk to you about whatever happens when you've paid the purchase price for your piece of land and then the transfer forms are not put into your names, or the seller did not transfer the land into your names. So in today's video, we're going to talk about vesting orders. So let's go. So many of you may be wondering, what is a vesting order? A vesting order, many of you may be saying I use many legal terms on this channel. However, a vesting order is a document or court order which allows you to be able to obtain a land title when the seller of that land is absent. In other words, let me just simplify it for you like Simply Legal does. A vesting order is a document which enables you to obtain a land title or get a land title from the land offices of Uganda in the absentee or in absence of the seller. So this basically means that in many cases or many situations on this channel, I've done videos concerning land law, caveats and different land issues. However, I've never told you what happens when a seller does not transfer the land title to your names. And in many situations, this leaves many people in dismay. You may not know what to do. Now you already paid for the land title, you already paid for the land, you did your due diligence, and yet the land title is still in Mobiru's name. And yet I, Terry Kahuma, want that land title to be in my name. So that is where a vesting order comes in. The law in place is called the Registration of Titles Act, and Section 79 provides for what are called vesting orders. Therefore, when we look at vesting orders and its relevance in Uganda, we also look at issues of land titles and transferees. So I'm going to get to that in a bit. This basically means that when a seller has not transferred the land title into your names and you are just stuck there, you've already paid the purchase price and everything, there are a number of remedies and there's a procedure which your story is going to present to you. However, like in law, if you've been following this channel, there are always ingredients to a certain issue, a certain legal issue. It could be criminal law, it could be civil law. But in this case, let me tell you the ingredients of a vesting order. The ingredients include there should be no caveats on your land, or there should be no encumbrances on your land. By the time you are presenting to court, or by the time you present to a registrar or people in Lands Office, Lands Commission, people in charge of issuing out to you a land title, then you must be able to prove to them that this land has no encumbrances, meaning you should have done due diligence of this land. So I'm going to leave a link in the description concerning how to buy land in Uganda, because I talked about encumbrances on the land. Another ingredient is the seller of that land should be an absentee seller, meaning they should have run away, and in the process of them running away, they should have not transferred the land title into your names. So that is another very crucial element. Another one is that you must have all of your documents in place. In other words, you should have a copy of the sale agreement, you should have a copy of receipt, you should have basically everything that is going to be able to prove that you are the buyer of this land and everything concerning this land belongs to you. So meaning that it was just a transfer of the land or the transfer of the title that was supposed to now be done to you. So it's also important to note that when it comes to vesting orders, not just anyone can apply for a vesting order. The person has to have interest in this vesting order. And this basically means that you must have interest in that land. Like I've always told you on Simply Legal and on this channel and on land matters in particular, there are two types of interests in Uganda. There are legal interests and the equitable interests. So a legal interest is the type of interest where someone has a land title and a valid land title, meaning that the transfer should have been done and everything, and you've paid the purchase price, you've paid for this land in Buikwe or in Kitgum or just here in Nansana or in Boise. So the purchase price should have been paid and everything should be done. That's when you have legal interest. And it's registered with Land Commission and Ministry of Land. However, an equitable interest is basically what we're talking about. By the time someone is looking for a vesting order or applying for a vesting order, then it means that they do not have legal interest, meaning the land title was not transferred into their names, even if they paid for the full price. I think you're now getting the picture. So they already have equitable interest. However, both interests are enforceable in law. A vesting order should be applied for only by a person who is in possession of that said land. So as you know, in many cases in Uganda, by the time you are applying for a land title or you've already bought land, most people move into that piece of land. Like you already start your farming or you start building. Most people pay in installments. So by the time you're paying in installments, you're already in possession of that land. So the only thing you are left with by the time you applied for the vesting order is that the transfer of the title should have been done in your names. However, the seller did not do that. If there's a sale between Moses and Terry, then Moses should have transferred the land into Terry's names. So without further ado, let me give you the entire procedure for how to apply for a vesting order as a layperson or as a lawyer who might have forgotten. So let's go. Okay, so we're back to the steps. The steps is number 1, you need to obtain all the relevant documents concerning the vesting order. So this means proof of identification, like your national ID or your driver's license, something that is going to identify you as the actual proprietor of this land, meaning you paid the purchase price. So the people at land's office or the land registrar need to be able to identify that you are Mobiru Julius. Then, as on top of those documents, you also need to include the proof of payment. For example, the receipt or the transfer forms, actually not transfer forms because this would be a vesting order. You also need to get the sales agreement. You need to get all the relevant documents which are necessary for you to prove that I dealt with Mobiru Julius, I Terry Kahuma, I dealt with him and the purchase price was paid. We had a sale agreement, proof of receipts, and it's just that he did not transfer the title into my names. Then you're also going to have to approach a lawyer. Guys, I keep telling you, whoever is watching this from Uganda, whether you're abroad, you need to know that a lawyer is very vital in your life. We need you, you need us, because almost everything in this world has a legal aspect to it. So the second step is that once you have approached the lawyer, you're going to discuss everything with him, and then after that you make a plan on how to apply for a vesting order. Step number 3 is that you're going to be able to make an application for a vesting order, and you will move this application under Section 79 of the Registration of Titles Act. I don't like to make this channel very legal. Well, it's a legal channel, but I don't like to make it extremely filled with legal language, but you need to understand the laws in your country. So the Registration of Titles Act is the one that is in charge of literally all the land laws and land related issues in this country. Registration of Titles Act and the Land Amendment Act of Uganda. So step number 4, like I've told you, you need to make an application to move the registrar under Section 79, which will basically make you apply for a vesting order. So let's go to these middle steps. We've got the final steps, and I will leave you to go and enjoy a cup of tea. Step number 5, you need to always attach a statutory declaration in support of the application that you're making. So remember, in this video, you're making an application for a vesting order under Section 79. Now, a statutory declaration comes in to prove who you are. I've always mentioned statutory declaration, affidavits. This is basically your story. I, Terry Kahuma, I bought land from Stephen, so-and-so, or Mr. Sebugwao, and he did not transfer the title into my name, so therefore I'm applying for a vesting order. It should always be, of course, commissioned by a commissioner for oaths and signed by you. Step number 6, you should also be able to print out all the 4 copies of all the relevant documents. Like I told you, national ID, all the relevant documents that you need that should be attached to this application for vesting order and statutory declaration. Make 4 copies of each, because you need to attach all these documents into your application for a vesting order. So that is step number 7. And step number 8 is that you need to sign all of these documents which are attached. The reason for signing is that it's extremely necessary, because once you sign all of these documents, then it shows that it's proof that you are the one applying for this vesting order. You who is a purchaser of this land, you who is now the real owner of the land, except the land title was not transferred into your names. Why do I keep mentioning this? Because the reason for a vesting order is because you did not have title transferred into your names. However, you paid the purchase price. So this is a remedy for many people who sell, who work abroad, who do cheyo, and you had earned money. You've now sent your money here. You're trying to buy land and then build here, and then the land is not transferred in names. Either the seller dies or it disappears. As you know, in this world we have a lot of bafere, as we like to say in Uganda. So let's go to the second last final steps, then the final steps, and then we finish up this video. We need to now proceed to step number 9. It's that you now need to, once you've attached all of your documents, you need to take them for payment. So basically this means that your application for a vesting order attached with the statutory declaration and all of the relevant other information like your identification is going to be then paid at the land registry office or at land's office. We now go to the next step. And what is the next step, ladies and gentlemen? You are then supposed to still attach all of these documents with the duplicate certificate of title. I've done many videos on land issues, and I've always told you that when you're issued out a title by land registry or the land's office, what is kept at land's office is the original certificate of title. What is given to you is the duplicate certificate of title. So basically, you're going to attach the duplicate certificate of title with the application for vesting order and statutory declaration and everything. Then you're supposed to submit it to the commissioner for lands. This brings us to our next step. The commissioner for lands is supposed to review all of your documents to see whether indeed everything is legit and certified. What does this mean? This basically means that they're supposed to find out whether the land you're indeed buying from was bought legitimately from the previous owners. That's number one. Number two, to find out whether you also bought this land legitimately. By the time you buy this with your money and let's say with bank statements, they need to follow up and see whether everything is up to speed with the laws of Uganda and whether they are legit. So the 10th step is also to take these documents to the Gazette. I've always told you in Uganda we have what's called the Ugandan Gazette, and everything that is being processed, either I did a video on a special certificate of title, I'll leave the link in the description. Once you are applying for something new, especially if something was damaged or you're applying for a vesting order, then they're supposed to publish this in the Gazette for a space of about 3 months. That's about 90 days. In most jurisdictions, it's for a space of 90 days. Why is this done, you may be asking? The Gazette is basically a newspaper, like a billboard, or like for most of us who went to high school, you've probably seen like a notice board and there was a Gazette, like a school newspaper. So this means that they're publishing it to see whether there's any objection to what you're applying for. And the moment this is done, then you're almost, ladies and gentlemen, you're almost on your way to getting your vesting order. So let's go to the final steps, and I leave you guys to go and have your tea and sleep. Ladies and gentlemen, here are the final steps. Okay, so after all this is done, this is now the 10th step. The chief government valuer is given a report by the Commissioner for Lands. Remember, I told you that whatever you do should be done in the eyes of the law. So basically, if you're applying for a vesting order, then the Commissioner for Land is then tasked to make a report and given the chief government valuer. This report that is given the chief government valuer is extremely necessary because chief government valuer has to also value your piece of land. Who is the chief government valuer? Basically, the surveyor for government. This person who goes into your piece of land in Busiro County or in Mutundwe and values your land too. They can be like, this person claiming for this piece of land is claiming that he bought this land at 90 million. Let's indeed go and see whether this land is 90 million. So if the chief government valuer goes and values your land at 85 million or 90 million, then the process of getting a vesting order will be much longer and much more. Once chief government valuer has done his due diligence and his report, he then returns back to the Commissioner for Lands. Then the 12th step, because everything I was explaining was the 11th step, the 12th step is that once the Commissioner for Lands is then satisfied, then they will then issue out to you the vesting order. I know, guys, this video has been so long. Even me, I could feel it, but I felt like you guys should know this information. Okay, so after the vesting order is then given to you, then the Commissioner for Lands is then going to task you to go and pay for the new land title. And after everything is said and done, after you've submitted everything, then a new title is issued out to you by the Commissioner for Lands. So that basically means that a vesting order is an application for a new title because the seller of that land is absent. Either they are dead, unfortunately, or the land has been, or in many cases they have been sent abroad, or they have been trying to do things in a very fraudulent way. As you know, Uganda, in most cases, many fraudulent things happen, but because most people do not know about the law. Before I wrap up this video, it's very important to note that once you have attached all of your documents, the application for vesting order, statutory declaration, and all the relevant documents I mentioned earlier on, you go and submit them to the lands office in the area where your land is situated. For example, it can be Hoima, it can be Masaka, it can be Gulu, wherever it is, whoever you're listening from in Uganda. After that, if you do not have a duplicate certificate of title, then you can also apply for a special certificate of title. I'll leave the link in the description because I did a video on that. You should also visit that. And finally, once the Commissioner for Lands and everyone concerning your land, your vesting order is satisfied, then a vesting order is given to you. So thank you so much for listening to me, guys. Let me unbutton because I think we are now done with this video officially. Thanks so much for listening to me, guys. For those that are new to my channel, feel free to hit the subscribe button. Feel free to hit the comment section. Feel free to like this video and keep sending it to different platforms so that the YouTube algorithm will then pick up this video and promote more videos of Simply Legal. So until next time, bye.